I'm super excited about my quote. When my little brother was about 5, he used to talk to his shadow all the time. And I never got that. I was like, why are you talking to your shadow? There's no one there. But, like, it was his best friend, so I just let it go. But I was recently talking to somebody in one of my other classes. And he was telling me that when he was 5, he did that too. I was like, really? Why? I don't get it. I never talk to my shadow. But I guess I kind of just talk to myself internally. I do that a lot. Like, I'm doing it right now. I'm talking to myself inside, having my own conversation. Yeah, so my quote is, no matter where you go, there you are. So it was said by Buckaroo Banzai, and I think it's true. I really do, because I always have conversations with myself, and it's a little weird sometimes, but not the point. So today I want to talk about like being at a party and talking to yourself, and being in a classroom giving a speech and still talking to yourself, and like at family events. So for my first example, party. So I went to a party once, and it was a sorority party, and I didn't really fit in because I'm not preppy or anything like that. So I was with one of my friends, and she was one of the sisters. So she was always out about, like, mingling. So I had time to think about, like, all the stupid stuff that they were doing, and it's really bad to think that way, but that's what I did, and so I was judging them. I do that a lot too, internally. So yeah, so my whole thing is, like, I have inner thoughts, and with my inner thoughts, I have a full-on conversation. It's a little weird, but yeah. In a classroom activity. So right now, I'm giving this speech, but I'm also thinking about, like how nervous I am. It's terrible. But I think I'm doing good, so it's okay. I'm telling myself I'm doing okay. But yeah, so it's always comes back to, like, the inner thoughts. So I don't know if you guys have it, but you talk to yourself, I guess. Then I'm not crazy. Family events. We always have these at home, and somehow it's all revolved around alcohol. So whenever that happens, I kind of just keep to myself. Sometimes I'll, like, try to get them to drink more. But I'm always thinking, like, well, why are they drinking so much? And I don't know, it kind of makes me reflect on, like, when I drink, do I do that? And so, like, the whole time I'm just thinking to myself, do you do that? Like, I don't know, it's weird. Let's see. So wherever I go, I'm there. So I kind of have to like myself, which I think I do a very good job of, like, doing. I think I'm pretty cool. Like, I think I'm awesome. I don't know what anybody else thinks. Everybody tells me I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. But yeah, so no matter where you go, you have to like yourself, and I think it's true. Thank you.
Well, you sound a little snarky when you're introducing your topic right at the beginning, but I like the story when you get to your brother talking to his shadow, and that makes a little bit more sense. The interpretation of the topic is okay, and you've got a point that you're trying to make. I thought you previewed it pretty well. It's easy to follow. There's a structure, so all the structural stuff you're doing fine on, and you'd have some nice stories and a fun time telling those stories as you're going through the speech. So content-wise, I think you're doing a good job. Your voice projects pretty well from the beginning of the speech, although there's some of those places where you drop out, and I know you're doing it on purpose sometimes to kind of pull us in, but I think you do it a little too often, and it should be used with a little bit more discretion. The pacing is one place where there are a little bit of problems. The sentences don't always seem to flow smoothly. It seems like there's an extra pause sometimes between some of the words in a single sentence that makes it feel like it's dripping out instead of flowing out, and you want to be a little bit more controlled in regard to that. Gestures, sometimes you've got some good indicators, but I notice quite a bit of the time you are playing with the topic and wrapping it around your finger and kind of getting distracted by that instead of focusing on what you're talking about. And that's one of the places where your anxiety is coming out. I thought you were very animated with your facial expressions, although sometimes they're nervous expressions. You usually use that to your advantage when you're talking about yourself. And most people, they have an easier time talking about themselves than anything else, and I thought you did a pretty good job on that. Your eye contact with the audience was good when you were looking up, but there were periods of inconsistency, and you would like to be fairly consistent on all of the presentation. The other thing that I think is a little problematic in the presentation is that in the first part of the speech you're kind of standing pigeon-toed on the edge of your foot, and then in the later part of the speech you're standing with your ankles crossed, and you just look off balance at the beginning of the speech and in that later parts of the speech. And at one point I couldn't see your feet, for instance, because I've got people sitting between me and you, and I just said, she looks like she's standing there kind of funny, there's something odd about it. And then you moved over and you had the same position, and I could lean over and say, yep, yeah, she's got her ankles crossed, that's what's going on there. You just don't look like you were in control when you stand in that position. You look uncomfortable, and that's another place where the anxiety seems to be coming out. All right.